everyone, I'm back with another fun video, and this is all thrift flips. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're starting off with one of these shells with the little heart cutout, and I'm going to cover that up with this little round disc. And first I'm going to do a quick once over with some folk art wood tint in the color Walnut. And we're just going to do, like I said, a quick go over of that. And then we're going to cover that again with something else, Waverly chalk paint in Plaster. And now I've got just a piece of scrap wood that I got for free at Lowe's, and I am just going to kind of trace where the, sides kind of meet up, and then I'm going to actually end up cutting this whole piece with my scroll saw. I lucked out because I was holding it and looking at something, and I was like, I really like the idea of putting this upside down, basically. And you're going to see how it's going to look here in just a minute. I'm super excited. I have these rub-on transfers from Plaid. They were nice enough to send these to me, and I really love them. Spoiler alert, I love them. And I am just going to kind of determine if I wanted to cut off any of the top, and I left it the way it was. I went ahead and did a quick stain of Minwax dark walnut, and I kind of made little grooves in it so you couldn't tell if it wasn't straight, because it's probably not. And I'm going to go over a thick coat with the plaster colored paint again, and now I'm going to wet distress this, and this is more or less what I wanted to do. I like the final result, but I'm not really sure if this was the best way to go about getting it, but we work with what we do. So I'm just going to take this damp cloth, and I'm going to just rub away some of the paint. I put a really thick coat on it, but then when I started working on rubbing some of it away, it was still pretty damp. Now, what I also like that I did is I went back and kind of almost blended it a little bit more. And I'm going to do the same thing with this shelf. As you can see, I did go back and add a lot thicker of a coat. I just kind of changed my mind midway through and decided this is more along the lines of what I wanted to do. But the wet distressing worked a lot easier on this one. This was obviously a finished piece as opposed to the other one is just a scrap thin piece of wood. And like I said, this worked out a lot better on this piece, but it worked all together, which you'll see in a minute. All right, so now I'm going over this with another one of the folk art wood tints, and this one is in the color gray. This is really nice for distressing. I don't like it to put it directly on the wood, but I really like it for distressing. And I'll go back over that again with some of the same chalk paint again, just to kind of really blend it all together. Alright, so now I've got my rub-on transfer. Now, when I was using it on a piece of wood, it didn't have a lot of stickiness to it. It's probably because the wood is a bit on the damp side, because I didn't really let everything completely dry, because I'm not lazy. I am just in a hurry. I was in a hurry today, so just don't worry about that. And so just, it does have some stickiness to it, which I'll tell you about on the next project. But I'm just kind of going through trying to get it to, get straightened out. I do tape it down, and now I'm just going to start the rubbing process, and it is a process. They do pretty well with the rubbing on. Once you start to peel the backing off, you'll start to see if you missed any spots, and then you just put the backing back down and, rub any of the area that you didn't quite get. And you barely even notice it. I mean, you'd have to really look at it, but these rub-on transfers are really great. I absolutely love them. And I wanted just to distress it just a little bit. So I took my brush that didn't have any additional paint on it, and I just went over it a little. And I'm going to do that on a couple other things too. Now we've got our sunflowers. These are gorgeous. The whole rub-on transfer was really pretty. So I'm going to go back and forth to decide where I want to put this, and eventually I'll go with this side, and I'm going to do the same thing, tape it down and really start just kind of rubbing it down. And like I said, the easiest way is with that little tool that is actually from the Dollar Tree. I think that worked better than a popsicle stick. I tried the popsicle stick. It didn't give enough pressure, I guess. Maybe it's because it's wood and it's soft, and I don't know. This ended up working the best though. Be careful, because the other side is very pointy and sharp. Do not hurt yourself. So, like I said, once you pull up the carrier part of the thing, the paper, the little, foggy looking paper, it is going to just kind of show you where you missed, and it goes back down really nice. It really works nicely. I was worried oh, I love the Dollar Tree ones so much, but these ones are better. And I'm going to link it for you below where I found it, at least on Plaid's website, and anywhere else I find them, I'll link it for you. But on Plaid's website right now, they're $6.50. Really good deal. So as you can see, I added a couple more to the shelf, and now I'm just going to go ahead and get everything kind of like glued together. And I didn't show it to you, but here is the final product. I really love this one. I didn't think I would. And now I've got this gorgeous canister. This one's going to be a quick one, and we're doing the same thing. Now on this metal, I cleaned it with rubbing alcohol first, and the rub-on transfers, they definitely stick to it. So just know that ahead of time. I ended up putting one on top of each other because I wasn't paying attention, and I tried to move it and it wasn't getting moved. So just know that it definitely, it's on there on like this metal canister. And I like this because it just kind of adds just a little bit of a touch of something else, just gives you a little bit more of, you know, the same look but different, you know what I mean? And this one's like really fast. I just added a few more of them, and here it is all done. I just think it's the sweetest thing. And we are on to the next one. I've got that same wood, same dark walnut stain, same Waverly chalk paint and plaster. I'm just going to coat the whole thing with it. I'm not sure why I showed it to you, but I am going to do that. I'll just paint the whole thing with the plaster. I went heavier, you know, to start with, as opposed to the last time when I realized, oh, I wanted to go heavier because I think it's going to look better. So we'll do the same thing here. And not too worried about how it looks around the border of the piece of wood because we are going to cover that up. And now the same kind of situation here. I just took a damp, I think this one's actually a paper towel. A cloth works a lot better than the paper towel. And now I've got that same wood tint. Again, you know, all of these will be listed for you below too, in case you don't quite catch the name of something. I always list everything in my description box. And this is my last transfer out of the set. I used the whole thing. And we're just going to put this down here middle-ish. And we're just going to, you know, rub the heck out of that transfer, get it transferred on. And again, I did the same thing where I kind of taped it down, and now we'll just start pulling it up. And again, if you notice anything that you've missed, go back and fix it. And I will say, you can kind of tell the difference in using it on like a soft piece of wood versus using it on a harder surface. You can tell when you're actually like pressing down in it. It works, I think, better on the harder surfaces than it does on these like softer wood surfaces. So just an FYI. And I wasn't sure how it would transfer on this one because this one I had like really legitimately had it wet still. So it's all right though. And I just wanted to mention, if anyone is new here, please leave a comment below for me, introducing yourself, say hi. And if you're not already, please subscribe. I would love to have you here as part of my YouTube family. Alright, so I've got some of these little sprigs. They're from Joann's. Oh, just kidding. I'm going to wait for on those. I'm going to do a little bit of some thicker jute cord. I've marked off, I think, 3 inches in from each side. And now I'll put down, you know, a good amount of hot glue. I'm trying to keep it like going straight up so it doesn't look wonky once it's dried and, you know, you've got it hanging on a wall. So now I've got these lovely little sprigs from Joann's, and I'm just going to start hot gluing them on. I'm going to do them all across, you know, the top, the sides, the bottom, making it kind of like this little bits of greenery. And if you notice in the little flower pot, there's a bunch of different greenery, different plants, things like that in there. So I thought this would be kind of cute. There's not a lot of green in it, so it's kind of just making, I don't know. I just thought it would be cute and fun. Now when I'm gluing it down, I do glue down the bottom part, but I kind of put the glue on the sprig and almost like tuck it in underneath some other pieces to try and hide the, you know, thicker part of the sprig, if that makes sense. I cut off a little bit of it when, you know, before I glue it down, just so it's not so, you know, noticeable, so abrupt of a, you know, like right there. See, cut it off. And we're just going to kind of continue doing this all throughout the whole piece, and it's going to end up looking really, really nice. Now, I am an affiliate, not an affiliate, I lie, an ambassador. It sounds so very impressive. I am a Plaid ambassador, and they're really wonderful. I have been using their stuff for a long time. If you are, you know, a YouTuber and you do DIYs, if you want to know about it, let me know. I'll be happy to share. And I needed to add just a little bit of florals to it, so I have these little mini sunflowers that are white. I have some that are more of like a burnt orange, but it wasn't quite right it didn't match anywhere near it with the yellow one, so I just kind of decided that the white ones would be pretty. And just a little touch, here and there. And I changed them around a little bit after what I had on this video, because I was like, yeah, I don't know, I don't really like them there. So I kind of ended up with one in each corner, is the way it ended up kind of playing out. And I hope that this is, giving you some inspiration for your, random scrap pieces of things. I've recently decided how much I like the thrift stores. They're a lot of fun. I have my one that I have nearby my house isn't the greatest, so I, here and there I'll take a venture out that's like 40 minutes away, and there's one that's really great. That's where I got that canister from. It's one that's nowhere nearby, but they're nice little, stops along the way. You can find some really fun and interesting things. And here is the end of our project. It just turned out really, really sweet. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves today, and I had a lot of fun making these projects. I'll definitely leave the links for you below to check out, especially those rub-on transfers, because they are gorgeous. And I will see you next time.